What's up, baby?
What's up, bro?
Bro, long day. I started off this morning with a podcast with a good buddy of mine, a Detective Steve Borst from Maine.
Ah,
Been doing it for 30 years, and he had a pretty dope case, a Romanian organized crime syndicate,
mm.
and he caught a couple of them. So that was dope. Street Tales. This was on Street Tales.
Oh, yeah.
Also hit 2000.
Make sure. Congratulations.
That's right. That's right. So no, man, it's been busy. It's been fun. Yeah, bro. I don't know. Yeah. So just a lot going on, and now we're knocking this one out. So we're trying to do this thing. Not trying. We are doing it. Fuck it.
Yeah. We're good. One by one. One.
What about you, brother? What you got?
Oh, I was just one case. You know how it is with the shift work on the long weekends. You know that Monday, it's like a Saturday. You know, Sunday to Friday. You know, so it's like I just slept. I try to catch up on sleep today. So not a total waste of a day, but you know that first day off kind of lags a little bit. You know what I mean? So we'll get it right. We're good.
That's good, bro. Well, I wanted to kind of continue on with our last episode where we talked about shame. And I mentioned on the last episode, I said Shannon Sharp, and a lot of preface, you know, a lot of preamble on this one. I'm a fan of Shannon Sharp. I watched him play football. I've watched him be a commentator. I watched his show with Ocho Cinco. I think he's hilarious. I do think he has some good insight on some things. But what I'm trying to say is this. Your boy is in his feast, right? A lot of preamble with this conversation in the statement.
Was she not in the 60s?
We got the old fucking Google box, bro. Let's see. How old is 56?
56, okay.
All right. And dude is jacked. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on. And he talks a lot about women and relationships and all that. Also, don't care who he bangs private life, right? Do you, bro? I don't care. But now it's in the public space, and you're a public figure. And you've made yourself a public figure.
Yeah.
Right? That shit's embarrassing. You're 56 years old. You're 56 years old, and you're being dragged through the news, public space, losing contracts, money, because you wanted to bang a 19-year-old OnlyFans model or whatever the fuck whatever you call them people. And then when she comes out with allegations at 56 years old, your response is, oh yeah, look at these text messages. So now you're adding more of your personal life into the public space. She's 19. She can be child, or however old she is now, 20, whatever the fuck her is. It doesn't matter, bro. She's 20 years old, 22. It doesn't fucking matter. You're 56. And you have kids, bro. My thing is this. You can't control what somebody else is going to do. Can't do it. You can't control how you respond and what you do. And he has decided that he wants to put it all out there to defend his name. And even if he's not found guilty in the public court of abuse of some sort, it's embarrassing, it's shameful, and not a good look, in my opinion.
A couple of things here. Like you said, what you decide to do in your personal life is your own personal business. And I think that not, obviously you don't sign up to have your personal business put out or spread or do whatever. But at the same time, it's like, you know, when you do become a public figure, that's going to come with it. You know, I personally think that people like to ruin things. So I think you should probably, like, you know, things that you value, you should keep close to the vest, right?
Now, once again, that's you, and you can't control if your partner. No. Okay. Yep.
No. I'm saying this is just my own personal.
Yeah.
People like to ruin things, not even necessarily relationships. Your ideas, dreams, things that you're working on. People like to ruin stuff, right? So I think it's best to kind of keep as much stuff out of the public view as much as possible when you can, right? Now, the fact that she's 19 or whatever, I mean, obviously, I don't think that would be me, but I think maybe in the sense of like, maybe he hasn't always, obviously he's been successful. He's an NFL Hall of Fame.
100%.
You know, once he became an NFL player, sure, he came into money and, you know, and the fame and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it is a little strange to see this happen to someone who has already gone through the limelight and been popular and gone through a lot of those things, to kind of be in this position after you've gone through, like, you've already been to some of the highest heights, you know, as an athlete, you know, in the public eye. So it's, well, I will say this, in an athlete, highest high, whatever, it's like, but you're not putting yourself out there every day on TV, right? You're just like, it's once a week. You know, once you become, you know, in the media, you know, per se, you're constantly in there. So everything that you say is going to be scrutinized. And it's, I think maybe sometimes people are not used to living in the fishbowl. And I know that even as on a day job, right? That's it took me a while to get used. Even obviously this is not the same kind of scale by any stretch of the imagination, right? But going from just, not that people don't notice you, per se, but like when you're not in the public eye, you have the ability to kind of move through life and move through your day-to-day stuff. No one's really paying attention to you or to what you're doing, right? It was definitely a transition into that, especially once we became cops. And, you know, and once you start to put on the uniform, and I noticed people looking at me more, and it was an adjustment period at the very beginning. I was like, what the fuck are y'all looking at? And I think it was, matter of fact, it was Sharo who mentioned it. It was like, it's not necessarily that they're looking at you personally, but you now have something else on that's extra that brings attention. He's like, when you're in the fishbowl per se, right? So there's this thing. It's like you are the predator in the thing. And so it's like, it's not the reef and the ecosystem is reacting to you. It's not just you reacting to everything else that's happening. And even like I said, that on a smaller scale is an adjustment because you're like, oh, now everything that I'm doing, I have to be cognizant of everything that I'm doing because everyone is looking at me. So it's like, I don't know if, it's, like I said, it's strange that he's somebody who has been in the limelight and been part of this thing. And I don't know, again, I don't know, there's some, NDAs, but now like after seeing some of these things come out, I kind of get why people have NDAs, especially if you're popular, like in the limelight, whatever, why people get these things and why they have them signed. It's not, I don't think it's necessarily that you're hiding anything. It's like, I just don't want my personal stuff out there to be scrutinized all the time. I didn't sign up for that part.
Yes. My point is more, and I hear you, and I agree with what you're saying. He abused me. No, I didn't. Look, she told me she wanted me to choke her and beat her.
Oof.
Bro, what are we doing, bro? What I'm saying is,
that's tough.
Is that what are we doing?
That's tough, bro. That's tough.
And he just put it out there.
Yeah, that's tough. But I mean, it's like, as someone who's been on the side of conducting these investigations, right? Mm-hmm. Even this probably won't go to like the criminal thing, right? But even in the court of public opinion, right? At what point do you, not again, in a criminal, in a criminal setting, you probably wouldn't done that. You know what I mean? That would have come out way later. But in the court of public opinion, it's almost like, what else is like the recourse? It's almost like the reverse. Like you're guilty until proven innocent. Not as a slippery slope, but I don't like it. And that's why I was learning to kind of like, maybe take a couple extra seconds of thinking about what I'm saying, especially when you're typing shit, right? I was like, how's this going to look? If she decides to change her mind, what is this going to come off like, right? Because I'm sure just that one statement, I'm sure there's context to it. I'm sure there's a lot more of a conversation or whatever that was involved in that they had offline, face-to-face, that didn't necessarily come out in what she said. So it's tough. It's like, how do you combat that? Court of public opinion is guilty until proven innocent. We all know that. So it's like, but at that same token, I think that's what, quick sidebar, some TikTok video, whatever, where some girl was like, oh, how come men don't catcall anymore? Or like, do whatever. And it's like, are you kidding me? Do you see what happens in the media every day? It's like, I said one thing, you say one thing, it's like, at the end, another small tangent, right? There's a fine line between harassment and flirting. Have you noticed?
I've seen both sides of that, so yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be cognizant of not just what you're saying, but the context of what you're saying, and also who you're saying it to, right? It's like, and again, y'all don't fucking crucify me for this, but if you're on, a level of a 10, desirableness, as a man, and you say, what's up, girl, what that thing do, to like a girl that's, a 5 or like a 1 or whatever, she may take that as, ooh, whatever. Like you say that to like a girl who's a 10 or someone who's like out of your league. That's like, oh my God, this harassment, blah, 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 blah. Like we know this. We all know this. So it's like those kinds of things will make people be like, you know what? I'd rather just not say anything. I'm good. And so it's almost like it's surprising that he would get into that kind of space with someone who is so young. And again, not the age wide, right? But someone who is seemingly is questioning the maturity levels of both.
It's literally like, and I've told you this before, as soon as somebody goes, bro, did you see what they said on Facebook or whatever? I'm like, I'm out. Because no, I don't care. No, I don't care. It's like elementary school. No, that's not true because you said it. What are they doing, bro? You're an adult. You're a grown man. What is going on? I will say to your point, because I've heard what you said, men don't make the first move. Men don't, men aren't, gentlemen anymore, all these things. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Because if I try to say, hey, what's up? It's like, I'm not trying to fuck you or you're massaging. I mean, just constantly being torn down. You should be man enough to overcome that. Why? I have a career. I have kids. No, I'd rather just be quiet, just keep on about my life. Please don't even, I don't even try to make eye contact, bro. Fuck all that. Like, nah. I don't even want to be calling one of them videos like, oh, look, he's staring at me. You know, the gym video, whatever. It's like, man.
You can't even look at you want like
no.
For more than a second.
Even when they're doing something absolutely ridiculous, you're like, this guy walk over here. I'm gonna walk over this side. I don't know what they're doing. Why are you doing bicep curls on the leg curl machine? I don't understand what's happening. I'm gonna walk over here.
I mean, well, we're gonna talk about it later at any point. But to that point where you just talked about I see some of these IG videos, TikTok videos, whatever, where it's like the working out thing, right? Now, as somebody who's worked out for however many years or whatever, I look at some of these videos and I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, what is the purpose of? What was the purpose of what I just watched for the last? It's like you're just walking across the gym floor. Like, was there a point to that? Are you selling me something? Are you like what? I don't get it. It's like, was there a link in bio that I missed? I don't understand what I'm looking. And we all know there's a difference between, I don't want to necessarily say girls, say people, right? People who actually work out. Well, we'll say women on this one because it's specifically what we're talking about. There's women who are actually working out, and you can kind of tell the difference between the ones who are actually fit, but actually working out, actually strong, or doing what they're doing, as opposed to the ones who are just shaped well and just happen to be like in the gym. And in both of those cases, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. Like, are you promoting like healthy lifestyle or whatever? No, it's like that, but you haven't done an exercise. I don't, and I don't get it. And it's just saying again, I'm saying this about women, but like, it's the same. You see dudes in videos do the same thing where it's like, okay, we're just supposed to be looking at you. Are you selling yourself? Are you selling like a product? I'm confused as to what we're supposed to be looking at. It's kind of strange. I mean, but I don't know. I guess that's just the culture. But like you said, it's to a point where it's like, even if you're in those settings and you see that like happening, you're kind of like, I just don't want to be on the wrong side of it. Like, but I say, I'm just like, you know what? I just mind my business and just fucking keep scrolling. Don't say anything about it. But I think it's kind of weird.
It is. It's all bullshit. Are we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yes. What about it?
We're a few weeks after the draft. I've heard a lot of commentary back and forth.
Yeah.
Some of it I actually found, I was like, that's a valid point. I didn't think of it in that way. But do you want me to go or you want to go?
Go ahead. I'm interested to see what else you think about it.
So, because we've talked about this with nepotism and all with LeBron James and his son.
Mm-hmm.
The point of view that I thought was interesting. And I can't remember who said it, so I apologize. It was on ESPN or something like that. But he goes, of course he didn't go first round, specifically because of who his dad is and his online presence. He goes, he was making more money in college than he will in the NFL.
Yeah.
He showed up in a fucking Rolls Royce with a $180,000 watch, and like he rented out a club or whatever for his draft party, like stuff that most recruits can't do. And they're like, on top of that, his dad is Deion Sanders, not known as the quiet, silent type. Mm-hmm. He's like, so why would any team in the NFL want to draft him and bankroll their team on him? Because as soon as they don't do something he doesn't want, his dad is going to be right in the media, on social media, going to blow it up, going to be giving it all out. And he goes, and also, how do you coach a man like that, a young man like that, who has basically, I can do whatever I want. And if you disagree with me, I have a massive social media presence, fans, my dad, and I don't really need your money. Had nothing to do with his athleticism, nothing to do with his ability to play, nothing to do with his leadership abilities, nothing to do with his stats at Colorado, had nothing to do with none of that. That was the boop. And I went, that's a valid point. So this is, to me, different than the Bronny James one, because people were saying he shouldn't be in the NBA because of his athleticism. We've already discussed all that. This was more like the negative side effects of social media and a massive platform in a professional sports environment.
To that point specifically, right? I think it's strange that an owner would have that view, right? Because that's a view that they've put on him. He never said any of those things or did anything to make it seem like he would be having any of those of the negative sides of it, right? Especially when you hear him speak, even after losses or whatever. He's very, very down to earth kid. Granted, but I think that's the thing with a lot of NIL stuff, right? There's a lot of these kids are making more money now in college than they don't necessarily need the money that the NFL provides. So I don't know if this is a byproduct of just him specifically, or about a byproduct of where the NIL has led college athletics, because these kids are already rich before they come into the thing. So now I think it does one or two things. Right? You have people who want to be in the NFL, not necessarily get rich, because these kids have money already. A lot of these kids are millionaires before they hit the draft, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're going to find the ones who actually want to be there, as opposed to, I think, and what I'm trying to say is, I think sometimes owners are maybe, I don't know if intimidated is the word, but they're concerned because now I can't control you per se and hold this contract over your head, because I'm about to get, like you said, I got my own money. So I'm like, if I got drafted in the 6th round, okay, that's fine. Okay. I'm like, is that necessarily like a bad thing? I don't think so. I'm like,
and what story dominated the draft?
But who? It's not because of him. Shador, that's the thing.
No.
Shador never said anything.
No.
Yeah.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, to your point, it's almost like the story of who he is and what he was doing is bigger than even the NFL draft. It dominated the draft. Do you know who the first round pick was?
Yeah.
Who was it? Who was the 10th pick?
No.
Correct. But what I know, Shador Sanders got picked in the 6th round. Do you know any other player that got picked in the 6th round?
I know there's some other guys that got picked ahead of him that were questionable.
But all I'm saying is, see what I'm saying? Like,
but here's the thing: is that necessarily his fault though, or is that the media? Like, it's one of those things. Like, if the media doesn't,
I'm not blaming him. Let me be back. I'm not blaming him.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
To your point, he actually is well spoken, and what I mean by that is he could be a straight fucking asshole, and who gives a fuck, right? He could be, but from what I've seen, he is not, and from what has been provided on. Again, I don't know him. I know what's on the news and what's on social media. Very well spoken, seems to be a player or not a player. What the fuck am I trying to say here? A student of the game. Like, he knows the fucking game. Like, he's not, whatever. So this is and again, what I'm trying to say is his draft selection had nothing to do with athleticism. It was only an external stuff.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Which is crazy.
I don't know of another draft like that.
Well, it's interesting, right?
Go ahead.
Because now, obviously, this is in a time before social media, when you had, and again, to the point, the Sanders family never said anything. Shador never said anything about coming up to the draft, never said anything at all. But I think it's interesting that when Eli was getting drafted, his father, Archie Manning, came out and said, "We will not go to these teams if they draft." And it was like, no.
And he said that?
Archie Manning came out and said, we will not go to these teams if they draft it. We will not do it. Right? So it's like, but again, this is in a time before social media. This is in a time before podcasting. This is straight laced. ESPN is really pretty much all you got, right? So it's and so I'm like, I think it's just a difference in time. I think if you had that now, and I definitely don't. But some people will be like, oh, it's a racial thing. I don't think it's that at all, right? I think it's two fathers, right? I think it's two fathers who are NFL legends, right? Who have sons. So you're looking at them to be like, oh, what are they?
I think Deion's a little bigger than Archie Manning. Just
no.
He's a little bigger,
100%. But what I'm saying,
yeah,
like the nepotism part of that. Right? You have these fathers who are involved. They've been,
Well,
the legends, like they know what's happening, right? So they can help their sons navigate. Oh, I can look over here and be like, that's not a good organization because I've been in the league and I know whatever. If I could pick, I do not want my son to go here. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in either one of those situations. What I'm saying, the difference is, like you said, to media now being so big, that I think it's more of a story now because of the time and of which it's happening in versus when it was happening whenever, or, Eli got drafted in 2000 and fucking whatever, 2002, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't remember that happening, but it was before I cared. This is just.
Yeah, but I'm saying
as I get older, I have more time to think about these things and see this shit.
And you look at it and you're like, you put those things side by side, you're like, oh, okay, well, there shouldn't really be an issue either one of those scenarios, right? But at the same time, you think Eli Manning needed NFL money coming from that family? We're already well off my point, right? So in both situations, neither one of those kids needed the money from the NFL. So
why go?
So it's like,
even go.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're going at this point now, if you're going, it should be, you would think it's because I want to be successful. I want to win. I want to be competitive. I want to whatever, not necessarily because of the money. I already got the money. So now you can kind of see it ahead of time. This, what it's almost like what's the thing is like, what do you get the man who has everything? So that's when you can really tell what someone's really made of, is when they get everything that they want. Okay, now what? Now what are you gonna do? You're already well off. So now what do you say? Most of the time, money really is a big motivator for a lot of the things people do in life, right? And it's not necessarily like, I know for me, personally speaking, yeah, you do some things for money, but for me, it's not so I can like stunt or like have fancy jewelry or whatever. It's like I want the money so I can live comfortably and do what I want to do and have the freedom to do what I enjoy. In this case, what I'm saying is, in this case, you would think that kids who already have the money are not driven by like, oh, I need these NFL dollars. In most cases, when you're talking about these high first round, second round picks, probably already got plenty of money from NIL, whatever. They don't.
Well,
now, I'm saying now, in today's age, now they probably don't need the money. They could probably stop now and be like, oh, I'm good. So now when you get to these higher draft picks, when you're a lot more scrutinized, now you would think that they want to be competitive and they want to win. It's not necessarily, I'm just doing this because I need or want the money. You know what I mean?
We didn't talk about this, but do you see a world where college takes over the NFL?
As far as what? As a better product?
Yes.
Yes. And I say that because there is so much more product and
more teams.
There's more players. There's
more growth. Yeah.
More storylines, you know what I mean?
Most of them don't have that kind of money before they start college. Now, that's going to be interesting if NIL starts trickling down into high school, because then, I mean, Tim Tebow, I think we talked about this. I remember watching Tim Tebow as a high school quarterback. I'm in college, and coaches are watching a high school football game. And I'm like, oh, you guys watching, recruiting video? They're like, no, this is live. And I'm like, high school? They're like, bro, you don't know who Tim Tebow is? I'm like, who?
Yeah.
It was already starting, though.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't know if it'll trickle down to high school per se, but I think you'll see.
Not in our lifetime, but maybe.
Maybe, but I don't see it in our lifetime. I think the college game will probably surpass the pro gaming product of what they put out, because now you don't have to get to the NFL to get paid,
and you have a much larger pool of athletes who are all trying to get those NIL deals, get those championships, get that recognition, put that time in, put that grind in. That's it. Yeah.
And there's a lot more opportunity for players because there are so many more teams, right? So now it's like, shit, if you don't make it to the NFL, you got what? You got Canada, you got Euro leagues, you got whatever. It's like, but now you don't have to go and do all those things to be monetarily successful. It's like, I got to get to college, but like you'll have not necessarily more parity, but you'll have more opportunity for kids to get shine and, benefit more. There's more. And I think the fact that it is only 4 years, right, keeps it interesting.
Yeah, you're not watching the same guy.
Watching the same guy for the next 20 years. You know what I mean?
I think it was Joe Rogan and Tom Segura. They said, this is America. We'd love to root for the underdog, love to see him be successful, and love to fuck him till he fails once he's become successful. It's like after a certain amount of time, they're like, fuck that motherfucker. Yeah. I think they were talking about UFC. That's what it was. They were like, this dude, he's the man, he's the shit. He becomes champion. Yeah, I told you he was the shit. Huh? Defends his belt 2-3 times. And they're like, man, fuck that motherfucker, bro. He's old. He's weak. He's soft. It's like, what? You've been blowing this dude up for 5 years and now you hate him?
Yeah, but you see, it's like we see it across all sports, right? We see it with John Jones, like Anderson Silva.
I still don't get the hate on John Jones, bro. I will never understand why they hate that man.
I don't get it. I don't know.
Even the defenders, though. Oh, he had 100 millionth of a Picayune, whatever the fuck it is. So what? Who gives a shit? The dude's still dominating, bro.
Did he take it in a way?
And I think he hit him in the head with it too, because he said, "Yeah, I beat your fucking ass and I was high on coke." It's like, God damn, bro. He said, "Fuck that. I'm gonna use it against you." And the truth is, yeah. So my thing is, all you people talking shit, you want to fight him? Hell no.
Fuck up then.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, bro. Unless you could do what I'm doing, shut the fuck up.
If you can do what I'm doing, then be quiet. If you haven't done what I'm doing, be quiet. Chill.
Bye. Bro, I love it.
You know what I'm saying? But, it's one of the things, it's strange that, to you saying that, it's strange that, what's that the Batman quote? It's like, you live long enough, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, that's hero.
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, motherfuckers hate me just because I'm successful? Wow, bro, that's okay. They just want to see, like, it's like they don't want to see you be successful for longer periods of time. I think deep down what it is they're unhappy with themselves, and you just are constantly reminded that you're not successful. You are. So it's probably more about the internal than it is that person per se.
Bro, I'm even guilty of that because I think I've talked about it as well. I was with my dad. We watched when Tom Brady first went in. He was like a backup quarter. I didn't even know who the fuck he was.
Yeah.
Man won, and my dad's like, that motherfucker could play. He's gonna win championships. And he went on, and I remember going, yo, that's fucking great. I remember that. Like, it was an emotional tie-in.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, I was like, bro, this shit is boring, bro. I'm tired of watching these motherfuckers win all the time. You know what I'm saying? Well, and to be honest with you, though, he went down to Tampa Bay and he won. I was like, good for that motherfucker. Hell yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's like that.
It was a new story, plot lines, and, people just wanted to.
But I liked it. I don't know. I was bored for the last 3 years that he was winning with the Patriots. And then and the way that they booted him out, I was like, nah, that's fucked up. And then he went down to Tampa Bay and he won a Super Bowl. I was like, good for that motherfucker. Hell yeah. But just 2 years ago, I was like, bro, I'm tired of this motherfucker. He needs to retire.
Shout out Tom Brady for changing the economy of city. Appreciate that.
Hey. Take that OT, baby. All right, bro. Transition. We got to transition. We got to talk about this, bro. Motherfuckers swiped 2 million times on Tinder. Swipe right. They said something like 5 years and 93 days before he got one date. And I had to look the dude up. He's not like bro. He looks like, I don't know, a normal white dude with a beard, glasses, and like, I will say all his shit is on a fishing boat.
Uh-huh.
And that has come to my knowledge that is a cliche. Don't put pictures of you fishing, your dog. I can't remember what the other one is. Or you with your shirt off on your profile.
Well, you can't put pictures of your dog.
Apparently not. Apparently these are all red flags for women now. According to the follow-up on this guy. 5 years on Tinder before he got one date. What is going on?
Come over here. Like, shout out to that guy for the perseverance. Okay.
I think at this point, he was just like, out of spite, he's like, you know what? Fuck these bitches. I'm going to keep swiping.
Well, shout out to you for perseverance, bro. But God dang, like, we got to be, we got to do something to the ego. But at some point,
maybe his chat game wasn't strong, bro. Once they matched,
yeah,
it just
I'm
wasn't.
like, no, it's like some weird, I don't know. But 5 years without a
He's got a lot of pictures of him fishing. A lot. Like, an aggressive amount.
And now my next thing is like, he probably doesn't have good branding.
Well, clearly he doesn't.
But
because I've known dudes that took stock photos from the internet.
Yeah.
Just because they were bored of the way they are masters of the game, so to speak, on dating apps. They said, I'm gonna take a stock photo and see one photo only, like a headshot of some rando, and see if I can. And they've hooked up. So how does this guy go 5 years without getting one?
Where's he at though? Put it this way: is he in LA? Like, is he a normal, regular looking guy who would be like a 6 or 5 to 7 in like Iowa or like middle of the country, but he lives in LA? Like but I'm saying, is he like an LA 3 but an Iowa 5 or 6?
Maybe. That could have something to do with it.
Have something to do with it.
Although I did hear that, bro. Like LA and New York are some of the loneliest cities. Like, people don't talk to each other. And it's like almost if you don't meet in work, school, or in a dating app, the idea of just walking up to somebody and saying, what's up? It's not happening.
Well, I think that's a societal thing. I don't think that's a regional thing.
That's small communities, man. That's not true. Small communities, they all know each other.
I don't know, bro. Okay, quick side. I didn't tell you the story. I didn't tell you the story the other day, but you just reminds me of something about meeting people at work. I'm obviously, I do the crash things, all right. So I show up on the scene. It's kind of it's not chaotic in a bad way, but there's a lot of things to it. So there's people everywhere, and people, families have showed up. Just people are. So I kind of get out and whatever command presence there is. You've been around. You kind of know. I just very matter of fact, right? And I'm like, okay, who belongs to what? What's going on, right? And I'll say this young woman. So she sees me. And then does one of these and sees me and she's like, damn, you big. You're big. So she's like, but that's not, it was like a, damn, what's up? I'm like, ma'am, are you in these cars? No. She's like, but I can be. I'm like, move, please.
Yeah, this is not the time or the place.
Well, please move. Talk about, I won't tell the story, but you know the story. But I read it in the Sheriff Dossie the other day.
I love it, bro.
We gotta laugh about that. But that's an offline story.
Yeah.
But bro, it's interesting. I think in society, I don't think you'll find many situations where, like you said, people just like walk up out of the blue and be like, "Hey, girl, hey, excuse me, you look very attractive. I think I love your outfit. You look beautiful tonight. Can I buy a drink? Exchange numbers, blah blah blah." I don't think that happens very often. I just don't think it does, which is strange.
No,
strange. People are like, "Oh, gotta meet in the grocery store." And again,
No, I agree with that.
I've been at bars a couple times. I'll go kind of like bars right here, and it's like, and you and I, we've actually had this conversation, right? Where it's like I'm just being nice, just being myself, and it kind of comes off as like she thought I was flirting, but I was just being like personal, just being nice. You're like, oh no, oh, you thought I was no, no. No. I'm sorry. Now you're looking at yourself like, damn, did I say something that would like elicit that type of response or whatever? I was like, I didn't think I said anything that was leaning towards that. And a couple of times, I was with my buddy Cal one time, we're in a bar. And I'll tell you about it. Me and Cam are sitting at a bar, right? We're sitting at the corner of this bar. So we're like at a 90 degrees. So we're looking at each other like sideways, but also looking at the bar. Our backs are to whatever, right? So girl comes up. So I say girl. She was middle aged. I said so a lady. Give her respect for that. She comes up. She's like, hey. She's like, do you guys want to take a shot with me and my girlfriends? Well, we're like in the middle of a conversation. Never once even noticed that these women are like, we're like, just be a nice person. But it's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Like, what do you, we're both gentlemen. What kind of shots? First of all, what kind of shots?
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, what kind of shots? She's like, oh, like a chill tequila. It's not really what I drink, but it's fine. I get it. You guys try to be nice. As a matter of fact, we're all having a good time here. We'll just buy the shots. We walk over there, take the shot. Hey, what are you guys cheering to? Whatever. To whatever the fuck it was. Oh man, cheers, blah, blah, blah. I hope you guys have a good night. We literally took the shot, maybe over there for not even a minute and a half. Took the shot. Hey, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I go back over to where we're sitting to hear the conversation, right? Probably a good 15 minutes goes by. That same girl comes up to the bar. She's like, excuse me, can I ask you guys a question? And we're like, sure, what's up? She's like, how come you guys didn't stay over there and hang out with us after we took the shot? And it was like, at the time, this is before their wedding. He's engaged. He's like, well, I'm engaged. And I was like, and I'm not here for that. We're literally just hanging out, just two dudes having a drink. What are we talking about? She's like, yeah, but you didn't we clearly offered you guys to come over. You didn't want to hang in, Oh, and she was like so taken aback by that. It was like, she was like, they were almost offended that we didn't continue on. I'm like, what about that made you seem like we just would? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's strange to see the status of society, I guess, in meeting people, dating world kind of thing. It's kind of not just weird, but I'm like, things happen. I'm like, I guess I wasn't aware of what was going on to the point where I'm just like, no, I didn't feel the need to. Like you said, it's like I'm not trying to fuck you. So
I appreciate it. I'm flattered, but no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm afraid. It was literally. I was like, yeah, I'm very flattered, but neither one of us are here for that. We're just literally having a couple of drinks, doing the shit, hanging out, and we're probably gonna leave here in the next, probably gonna leave a lot sooner now that you came over here and asked me that dumbass question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now I'm uncomfortable. Now.
Yeah, like, now you just made it weird. You know what I mean? But yeah, whatever. But there's a lot of shit like that happening. So I'm not surprised that people don't meet out in the wild anymore. It's a little bit more rare. But like you said, especially we talked about before, kind of, I think dudes get shut down so much where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you would be, harassing me, blah, blah, blah. I just told you that you look nice and I like your outfit. I'm sorry. And most dudes in general would be like, I don't even want to deal with that. So
Nope, because you don't know where it's going to go. Well, tying into that and last topic, and then I know you got to work out and I got to go eat. I think this is also Rogan. I know I quote him a lot, but whatever. 10% of all women in the U.S. between the ages of 18 to 24 are on OnlyFans, as in creators of OnlyFans. But 80% of all men have OnlyFans accounts.
Okay.
And they fact checked it, and it's roughly correct. Bots, more than one account, blah, blah, blah. I don't know any of that stuff. Not, maybe not all, I don't know, whatever. Even if it's off by a couple percentage points, that's still fucking high.
Yeah, that's still a very drastic number on either one of those scales in either direction. Well, like what you talked about, I think the status of society would lead to, I guess that makes sense I guess.
I didn't think so. I thought it was outrageous.
I mean, I do think it's, what I'm saying, I think it's outrageous, but when you think about the status of like society and how people interact with one another, I guess the thought of that is not crazy. You know what I mean? How many, again, we grew up in a time we actually had to like talk to people. Right? So how many people in today's age have grown up with social media, grown up with the ability to say what you want to say without actually having to like be in front of someone like to say it.
Do you think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that men have been made to feel marginalized and shut down so much that they are disillusioned in the sense of wanting to go talk to women, so they'd rather pay $10 a month to be able to see a booty hole? Why do I got to talk to you if I can just pay this money? Now I can see it anyway. And then on the flip side, women are now lacking that validation, that conversation, that interest. And so because they're not getting it in the real world, like out and about, they're going to that to get the validation that they're of their body, of their sexuality.
I think it's both. I think it's both of those things. I think there was a podcast I listened to, and it's drawing a blank on who it was, but I think they're talking about the sexual liberation of women and I guess some of the byproducts that come from that. And I think maybe this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you are allowed to do whatever.
Sure.
And I always tell people, it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. I was like, but you're not in charge of like you can't be upset of what you get back from what it is that you're putting out. Like you don't control that part, right? So
cause and effect. There's always a consequence.
Okay. And so like some of these women, it's like, yeah, do you want to, I guess, because some of these girls are making what? Hundreds of thousands, if not tens of thousands a month on this. Money wise, it makes sense. I mean, like I get why someone would do this, right? I was like, but I think I think they're going to find that it's going to be difficult to cultivate and have actual real world things that are not, that you, like you said, you can't get from the internet and from the social media or whatever. So you're not going to be able to get that intimacy, that day to day learning somebody, having somebody be there. All the things that come with actual in person real life trials and tribulations of relationships and even romantically, friendship, whatever. It's like it's gonna be hard pressed to find that long term. And then I've had this discussion with female friends, and and obviously other men, especially like in groups. I'm like, there's nothing wrong per se with what you're doing, is that because that's what you want to be doing. But you can't really be upset when dudes don't want to wife you up or take you seriously because, like as you so delicately put it, dudes have been able to see your butthole for $10 on the internet for the last however much. Like, no, like I said earlier, most things, if you value something, you want to keep it close to the vest and keep it from public consumption or whatever. Like, you're not going to want to do that. And so I said this before I ever heard it on the thing. And I was telling a female friend, we're sitting at a bar one night, and she was kind of making the same point, like, oh, women should be able to do what they want. I was like, yes, you're right. I was like, let me give you an example. So I literally hold up a cup, the drink that I had, like
water,
right? Water. And I was like, what's in this cup, right? She's like, oh, it's water. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. I was like, if I stick my finger in this cup, would you still drink it? She's like, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, yeah, if you were thirsty enough, I was like, you would probably drink it. I was like, but what if every person in this room stuck their finger in that cup? Would you drink it? She's like, if I was thirsty now, I was like, yeah, you're right. If you were thirsty now, I said, here's the thing. It's like, everybody who stuck their finger in that glass knows that they stuck their finger in that glass, and everyone in here is going to look at you crazy. She's like, I was like, you would even look at you crazy if you saw someone else doing the same thing. You'd be like, oh, don't drink that. Right? And she's like, yeah, I guess you have a point. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, yes, that's the status of where we're at. So I think this, like you said, the fact that there's that many men on there, again, you're not going to.
I thought that was really high. But
that's it's really high. But at the same time, like, I wonder how many of these dudes are like, what do they call them? Like incel dudes, whatever. Like, ones who are.
I hope 80% of the male population.
I hope it's 80% incels that are on there.
I hope they're not.
but I'm like, I don't think 80% of men are incels. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Yeah. So that number is very, very high. Like I said, when you see the status of where society is, it's like, oh. Like I said, how many? I've said before, how many of these Instagram things are like link in bio? You're like, all right. It's like, in most cases, like, well, I'm a look, but I wouldn't take you seriously.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes to women control sex, right? Yep. But men control relationships. I'll fuck you, doesn't mean I have to marry you. And honestly, these days and age, why the fuck would any man get married?
Oh, man.
I know I'm touching on something a little personal to you, but why? You're going to take half my shit. Who knows if it's going to work out? Who knows?
Yeah.
Into the OnlyFans point, women can do whatever they want. Women can get jobs. Women can do all these things. I just have to ask, what have you accomplished by creating an OnlyFans empire? You made $10 million. You made $100 million. Great. You made a lot of money. What did you do?
I think a better question: what did it cost you?
You showed your body. What I'm saying is, like, what did it take you to attain that? What is the sense of accomplishment besides money? Education? Did you build something? Did you create jobs? Did you discover something? Like, what is your sense of accomplishment? How did you, like, when you're 60, 70 years old and all that's behind you, what did you do? What's your legacy?
Well, I think that is going to be the legacy. And I think that there's,
are you going to be proud of that legacy?
Yeah, I'm like, obviously there's a trade-off. I'm sure it's going to be a trade-off for that. I mean, you see it now with, I guess I would beg to wonder how many like adult stars, if they would change it, knowing what they knew now, or if they had to, if they get to a certain life or a certain point in their life and they're like, oh man, like this, I was making the money, I was doing this one, but this actually cost me something that I would have wanted in the long term.
I've seen a shitload of articles and interviews and podcasts, whatever, of former adult stars. Every single one of them has regretted it. Now, with that being said, these are all the ones that have come out and talked about it. I have not. Well, I'm not going to. How many adult stars in their 70s are like, so glad I did it. Best time of my life. Best decision I've ever made. I have never seen one of those articles.
I can't tell you how. Oh,
right?
Yeah. I think it's how we started off with shame, right? I think you're not going to be able to, it's going to be very, very difficult to outlast or to change that legacy if that's what you're going to be known.
I think we'll leave it at that, bro.
Yeah.
All right, bro. I think that was a good one, kind of a weird one.